Every now and then I hear helicopters overhead, and I joke, living in Los Angeles, that helicopters and sirens are the songs of my people. I actually like the sound because it makes me feel safe. Close to my house, there is a hospital with a helipad. Every now and then, I hear a helicopter flying into my neighborhood, getting closer and closer and closer until it stops. And I am, in some way, relieved that whoever was in that helicopter is being tended to in the most expedient way possible. Helicopters save lives. Contrary to many of our history books that give the rights to Leonardo da Vinci for this invention, its design goes back about 1,100 years before da Vinci. The details are coming right up. The history of math is our intellectual foundation for understanding science. Science, beautiful, remarkable, awe-inspiring science. It's the creative foundation for our ineffable future. Hi, I'm Gabrielle Burchak, and this is my podcast, Math, Science, History. In the year 415, the infamous philosopher and mathematician Hypatia of Alexandria, Egypt, was savagely murdered by church monks. This murder shocked the Roman community and its government leaders. Hypatia was known far and wide as a respected philosopher, mathematician, government advisor, and a professor. Hypatia, The Sum of Her Life, is a book that I wrote that looks not just at the circumstances surrounding her death, but also at the sum of her entire life. I weave in the details of her education, disciples, Neoplatonic philosophies, female contemporaries, and the many mathematics that she wrote and taught about. There is truly more to Hypatia's life than her death. Hypatia, The Sum of Her Life, written by me, Gabrielle Burchak, is now on sale on Amazon. Buy your copy today. As some of you may know, I grew up in Denver, Colorado. Now, this was during a time when we could go out and play in the street, and our parents didn't care. So, every spring and summer, we'd go out front and play hide and seek. And right next to my house, there was a considerable growth of little trees, among which I could successfully hide. I loved those trees, even though they were a little stinky, but they hid me so well because they were so bushy, and I would rarely be found in this batch of trees. And they got so large that every spring my dad often had to cut them back. This particular tree is called the Tree of Heaven. Its species name is Ailanthus altissima, and this tree is native to China. These trees grow extremely fast and up to 80 feet tall. And these trees are so invasive that in 1991, Colorado legislation developed the Noxious Weed Act, which required property owners to control their weeds, especially the Tree of Heaven plants. Their leaves are oval, and there is a little seed in the middle of the leaf. So when they dry, they take on the shape of a propeller, and when they drop from the tree, they spin in a circular motion. I loved playing with them as a kid, and between that and the seeds from the Denver maple trees, I was fascinated at how these seeds would fall to the ground. Possibly these seeds were the inspiration for the Chinese propeller toy created during ancient China called the Zhongqingting, as well as the ancient Japanese taketambo propeller toy from 320 CE, also known as the bamboo dragonfly. The helicopter toy can be seen in paintings as early as 1460 in the French painting of Madonna and Child, which shows a child sitting on Mary's lap and holding a toy copter. In 1483, Leonardo da Vinci sketched the aerial screw, which was a device resembling a helical screw, which he believed could lift off the ground if turned fast enough. Although it was never built during his time, da Vinci's design demonstrated a fundamental understanding of the principles of vertical flight. This early conceptualization laid the groundwork for future inventors, even though it would take centuries before technology could turn such dreams into reality. By the 18th century, many inventors and scientists began to develop and create a Chinese top, powered by springs. One of these 18th century inventors is Mikhail Lomonosov. who in 1754 powered his Chinese top with a wound-up spring device and presented it at the Russian Academy of Sciences. About 20 years later, Christian de Lannoy and his mechanic Bienvenu created a coaxial prototype with rotor blades made of contra-rotating turkey feathers. This means that part of the blades rotated opposite to the axes, which would minimize the effect of torque. Lannoy and Bienvenu demonstrated their helicopter at the French Academy of Sciences in 1784. This design inspired Sir George Cayley to create a toy helicopter similar to Lannoy and Bienvenu. The only difference is that he powered his helicopter with rubber bands. Cayley's invention evolved into a helicopter with springs and tin rotor blades. Cayley, often called the father of aviation, was one of the first to separate the concepts of lift and propulsion. Although his primary focus was on fixed-wing aircraft, his work influenced future helicopter development. In 1861, the French inventor Gustave de Ponton de Amécourt coined the term helicopter from the Greek words helix, which means spiral, and pteron, which means wing. He created small stream-powered model helicopters, demonstrating the potential of rotary wing aircraft. However, these models were not capable of carrying passengers. By the 20th century, several inventors had made significant strides. Igor Sikorsky, a Russian-American aviation pioneer, began experimenting with helicopter designs as early as 1909. His early models faced numerous challenges, primarily due to the lack of robust, lightweight engines and difficulty achieving stable flight. A significant breakthrough came from Spanish engineer Juan de la Cierva in the 1920s with his development of the autogyro. The autogyro, or gyroplane, featured a free-spinning rotor that provided lift, while a separate engine-powered propeller provided thrust. Although not an actual helicopter, the autogyro solved many stability issues that had plagued earlier designs and paved the way for future developments in rotary wing aviation. Then, in the 1930s, German engineer Heinrich Fokker and Soviet engineer Boris Yuryev made significant contributions to helicopter technology. Fokker's FW-61, which first flew in 1936, is often considered the first practical helicopter. It featured twin rotors mounted on outriggers, providing both lift and stability. Around the same time, Yuryev developed the TS-AGI-1EA, the first single-rotor helicopter with a tail rotor that counteracted the main rotor's torque. While many inventors contributed to the early helicopter development, Igor Sikorsky truly revolutionized the field. After emigrating to the United States, Sikorsky continued his work on helicopters, culminating in the successful flight of the VS-300 in 1939. The VS-300 featured a single main rotor and a vertical tail rotor. This configuration became the standard for most future helicopters. Sikorsky's R-4, developed during World War II, became the first mass-produced helicopter and the first to be used by the U.S. military. The R-4's versatility made it invaluable for various roles, including medical evacuation, surveillance, and search and rescue missions. This period marked the beginning of helicopters as practical, multi-role aircraft. The end of World War II saw rapid advancements in helicopter technology. The Korean War, often called the Helicopter War, highlighted the extent of helicopters in modern warfare. The Bell H-13 Sioux, made famous by the television series MASH, became a symbol of the helicopter's life-saving capabilities, particularly in medical evacuation. And in case you haven't figured out what the show's title stood for, it's an acronym for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. The 1950s and 1960s witnessed significant technological advancements, including the development of turbine engines, which provided greater power and efficiency than piston engines. The introduction of the Bell UH-1 Iroquois, also named Huey, during the Vietnam War epitomized this era. The Huey became one of the most iconic helicopters in history, renowned for its reliability, versatility, and impact on military operations. It was used as a gunship and for troop transport and medical evacuations. While military applications drove much of the early development, helicopters soon found their place in civilian life. In the 1950s, the Sikorsky S-55 and S-58 models began serving in roles such as search and rescue, firefighting, and oil rig support. The versatility of helicopters made them ideal for tasks that required vertical takeoff and landing capabilities, especially in remote or inaccessible areas. One notable advancement during this period was the introduction of the tilt-rotor aircraft, such as the Bell XV-3 and later the Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey. These aircraft combined helicopters' vertical takeoff and landing capabilities with the speed and range of fixed-wing planes. This opened new possibilities for both military and civilian aviation. The 1950s were a turning point for helicopters and their role in the military. As the helicopters became more complex and required sturdy materials, the cost to create them became exorbitant. As of 2023, the Army's aviation procurement budget request was at about $3.8 billion. This money is being used to develop helicopters like the UH-60 Black Hawk, which costs about $21 million per unit. The AH-64 Apache attack helicopter costs about $35 million per unit. The CH-47 Chinook costs about $39 million per unit, and the V-22 Osprey tilt-rotor aircraft costs about $70 million per unit. I wonder how many humans we could feed with that kind of money. I wonder how many humans we could protect from the hazards of climate change with that money. I wonder how extensive our advancements could be in combating climate change with that much money. That's not to say that the construction of these helicopters is dreadful. The 1970s and 1980s saw the expansion of helicopter use in civilian sectors. The development of larger, more powerful models like the Sikorsky S-61 and the Boeing Vertol CH-47 Chinook enabled helicopters to perform heavy lift operations, including construction, logging, and transporting oversized cargo. Today, helicopters are more advanced than ever, incorporating innovative technology to enhance performance, safety, and versatility. Modern helicopters feature advanced avionics, composite materials, and fly-by-wire control systems, which improve handling and reduce pilot workload. One significant trend in recent years is the development of crewless aerial vehicles, also known as UAVs, or drones. While not traditional helicopters, many UAVs use rotary wing designs to achieve vertical flight. These drones have applications in various fields, including agriculture, infrastructure inspection, and emergency response. Another exciting frontier is the development of electric and hybrid electric helicopters. Companies like Airbus and Bell are exploring these technologies to reduce emissions and noise, making helicopters more environmentally friendly and suitable for urban developments. The future of helicopters now envisions electric takeoff and landing. These aircraft, often called air taxis, could revolutionize air transportation by reducing congestion and travel times in urban areas. Several companies, including Joby Aviation, Volocopter, and Lilium, are developing electric vertical takeoff and landing prototypes. These aircraft promise to combine the advantages of helicopters with electric propulsion, offering a sustainable and efficient solution for urban mobility. While there are challenges to overcome, such as regulatory hurdles and infrastructure development, the potential impact of urban air mobility on future transportation is immense. It's very exciting. We could take our helicopters to work. That is, if we could afford them. Seriously, we can barely afford cars these days. Anyhow, the development of helicopters in different environments, such as Mars and Titan, has changed how we see other planets. NASA's Ingenuity helicopter, part of the March 2020 mission, landed on Mars with the Perseverance rover. Ingenuity was the first aircraft to attempt powered, controlled flight on another planet. and it made its very first successful flight on April 19th, 2021. This helicopter operates in a thin Martian atmosphere and has been designed specifically for the conditions on Mars. The success of Ingenuity has also sparked interest in developing similar aerial exploration technologies for other planetary bodies. Future missions may include more advanced helicopters or rotorcraft to explore areas that are difficult for rovers to reach, such as cliffs, caves, or rugged terrain. These aerial vehicles could enhance our ability to explore and understand the surfaces and atmospheres of other planets and moons. Additionally, NASA plans to create more helicopters for other planets and moons. One project includes the Dragonfly mission, which is a rotorcraft lander that is intended to explore Titan, Saturn's largest moon. The Dragonfly is scheduled for launch in 2027. It will be a large, drone-like vehicle designed to fly in an atmosphere unlike Earth's. It will be able to fly in lower gravity and a thicker atmosphere, which is the atmosphere of Titan. The history of helicopters reflects our perseverance, ingenuity, and unrelenting pursuit of innovation. From the Take-Tombo to Leonardo da Vinci's early sketches to the sophisticated machines flying today, helicopters have transformed how we move, work, save lives, and explore other planets and moons. Whether rescuing stranded hikers from remote mountaintops or dangerous flooding, airlifting critically injured patients to hospitals, or delivering humanitarian aid to disaster-stricken areas, helicopters have proven to be invaluable tools in emergency response and medical evacuation. These powerful machines are often the difference between life and death. These powerful machines also make the difference between stagnation and the extensive exploration of destinations we may one day visit in our galaxy. Their use in other areas of our lives embodies hope, courage, and the human spirit's unyielding resolve to reach those in need, no matter the obstacles. Helicopters embody the creativity and brilliance that humans employ to create something so powerful out of the simple observation of a falling leaf. Helicopters and their evolving counterparts continue to push the boundaries of what is possible, promising new horizons in aviation and beyond, and expanding our intellectual horizons. Thank you so much for tuning in to Math Science History. And until next time, carpe diem. Thank you for joining me at Math Science History. Please remember to subscribe to the show. Also, if you could please leave a rating or a review, it would be really appreciated. Because those ratings and reviews really do help to increase my listenership, which help to get me more sponsors, which help me keep the podcast up and running. If you want to learn more about the history of math and science, please visit me at mathsciencehistory.com. If you like what you're listening to, and if you like what you're reading, please feel free to click on that coffee button and buy me a cup of coffee. Every cup of coffee that you buy helps me pay for the expenses that go into making this podcast. Also, if you're interested in leaving me a comment or chatting with me, you can always find me on your preferred social media platform, including X, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Goodreads, TikTok, Threads, etc., etc., etc. Just go to Google and search for Gabrielle Burchak. You can find me everywhere. Until next time, carpe diem.